Hey, Summer. You're sleeping in the back. And I wanted to share some thoughts with you. I've been having a real hard time getting along with your mother lately. And, from my point of view, I feel like she's doing things that are unnecessary. I think she's doing things that make things a lot harder for us. For some reason, she is being very hostile towards me much of the time. From my point of view, at least, she changes the story, really. She puts a lot of words in my mouth. She grossly misrepresents things I say and do. And she really lashes out at me a lot. There's a lot of topics that if I try to talk to her about those things in as friendly of a manner as humanly possible, she lashes out at me. She escalates and gets confrontational, and it hurts, number one. And number two, we never work anything out. There's issues that to have any kind of good relationship with anyone, whether it's even an acquaintance, a friendship, a romantic partner, or a co-parent, there's topics that we need to talk about that if that other person is not capable of having a friendly conversation about those things, then I'm not capable of being friends with them or having any kind of a relationship with them at all. And unfortunately, there's a lot of topics like that I feel that Brittany's incapable of talking about in a calm, friendly, mutually respectful manner. Now, of course, this is all from my perspective, and from your mom's perspective, things might seem a little different. And what I really want to say is that in spite of how her behavior makes me feel and what things she says actually make me feel, I want to look at her in a way that is non-judgmental. I want to look at her in a way that considers what made her that way. I want to consider that when she does those things, she's coming from a place of fear, of having been hurt before in some way related to those issues. And when I do that, then I can really understand why she behaves that way. And that benefits her and me, because then, I don't want to hurt her because I care about her. So then, if I can look at her that way and think, well, I can understand why she would lash out like that, because she experienced such deep pain about an issue or something related to what we're talking about, and that she has the impulse to protect herself. And for whatever reason, that's the best way she knows how to protect herself, even if it actually is counterproductive or destructive. And when I do that, first of all, I do think that is the root of what people call forgiveness. But also, it helps me not lash out back at her. It helps me not just be defensive and escalate things and fight with her. And that's good, for me, because it's painful to do that to someone I care about. But I think it's also good for her, because then I'm not lashing out and hurting her. And I also think you'll do better to de-escalate a situation when you can look at someone with empathy or sympathy or compassion in that way. Now, while that is well and good, you still have to defend yourself from people like that. And if someone consistently lashes out, you can look at them in that kind of a sympathetic way, but it's still necessary to prevent them from harming you. And I do believe that words can harm people. I think that emotional abuse and psychological abuse can be just as destructive or more than physical abuse. And so I need to protect myself from that. And lately, what I've been doing with Brittany is I've insisted that she not send me any messages one-on-one. I've asked her to include your grandmother and grandfather on her side in our text messages, or my sister, which I don't expect her to do, but my sister's okay with that, and it just brings another person into the conversation, which I think helps prevent the kind of verbal abuse that, in my opinion, she's been perpetrating on me. And it also prevents her from accusing me of things that I didn't do. Because one of the things that's the most troubling for me about Brittany's behavior right now is that she's accusing me of a lot of things that I honestly didn't do. In my opinion, I have never been emotionally abusive to her. I have never, ever been verbally abusive, not once. At my worst moment, I really strongly feel that way. I feel like I've always been very careful about her feelings. I've always been very sensitive to her feelings. So much so that I feel like maybe this abuse is somehow brought on by my making myself so vulnerable to her. And she hasn't really encountered a lot of people in her life, maybe mostly in a romantic context, that have made themselves that vulnerable. And I don't know if that's all she knows how to do, because that's all she's been around. I don't know if somehow she's grasping for control, because she doesn't usually have these kinds of opportunities for control, and it's a human impulse to try to acquire that kind of power over another person or in some kind of social setting like that. But for whatever reason, when I make myself vulnerable like that, which honestly I think it takes a lot of courage and strength to do that, and it's a generous thing to do, her response to that is not healthy. So my point is that you can forgive someone and you can try to understand why they behave in the way they do, and that has a lot of benefits for you and the other person, but at some point you have to learn where to draw the line with them, and it's okay to defend yourself. It can be sad to have to do that, especially if you care about other people and you're an empathetic person, but it's okay to do that. I don't think it's necessary for people to have to allow other people to abuse them, even if those people have been pushed to that point by bad circumstances themselves, or other people being mean or abusive to them. And I think that's an important lesson to know in life. So